Hello, and today we're going to be talking about what is a good latch. Okay, so the first thing that you want to look for is that the baby is deep in the breast. All right, so babies love that closeness feeling, okay? You don't want them being way out. You want their chin deep into the chest. So say this is their chin. You want them deep into the breast and then up and over the nipple, and they're nice and close to you. Don't worry about their nose. That's why we have kind of our nostrils are kind of to the side, so that when they are deep into the breast, they can still breathe. Make sure they're nice and pink, anything like that. They like that closeness feeling. Babies have that startle reflex, right? Okay, so if you're holding your baby and they're not close enough to you, especially a newborn, they're gonna have that startle reflex. It's a lot more prominent when they're newborns in those first couple of days, maybe even like a week. So if you're holding them, they're constantly gonna feel like they're falling and they're gonna pop off and they're not gonna stay latched. So make sure if you are doing like a cradle or a reverse cradle that you're kind of lying back and really tucking their whole body in close to you, and you're really keeping them nice and close, okay? All right, and then number two. Okay, so number two is you want to make sure those lips are flanged out. Okay, so those lips are flanged out like a fish. Like a fish. Okay, so why is that super important? So basically like this. Flipped up, and then you want to make sure that bottom one is flipped down and out. So this is super important. You know why? It's because they do this so they can create what's called a negative pressure seal. If they do not have their lips fully flanged out around both the top and the bottom, they can't create that negative pressure seal like a vacuum. That's how they stay on the breast. Is if this is the breast and this is their mouth and they get deep, when they have that pressure seal, it literally sucks in the rest of the breast, and then when they compress and they swallow, it pulls that colostrum. So if they don't have that correct seal and that correct vacuum, they're not going to be as efficient in pulling out that colostrum or that breast milk. So you do want to make sure they're flanged out like a fish. If you do have a baby with a lip tie, if you try to flip up their lip and it's super tight and it kind of goes white, then you notice they have a lot of lip blisters on the top, which are just like, they don't look like little bubbles, they're like rectangular bubbles on their lip. It basically means they're trying to hold on with their lip more than have that negative pressure seal. So my daughter actually had that. She did have a lip tie, but she was able to grow out of it, so it's not like the worst thing. But that bottom one is more important. So if you're latched in football, whatever position, and you notice the bottom lip isn't flipped out, reach your finger or your spouse's finger or support person and have them reach into the notch of the chin and gently pull down. All right, for like 1 to 2 seconds. If they pull that should automatically flip that lower lip out, and that's exactly what you want to see with each breastfeeding. All right, number 3, multiple attempts. I see this all the time. These moms get so discouraged because their baby's not latching, okay? It can take a baby 10, 12 times to latch until they get it and they understand and they stay on and latch and actively have a good rhythm of suck, swallow, breathe, suck, swallow, breathe, okay? Usually baby, it's normal to be like suck, 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 swallow, breathe, 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 suck, 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 swallow, breathe, breathe. That's like a good rhythm. But if you see this baby just like constantly getting on there and suck, 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 you know, sometimes their rhythm is uncoordinated, okay? But it's rare, it's so rare that I ever see a baby latch on and get it right from like the first time. And if I do, I'm like, woo, this is a great breastfeeding baby. Most babies don't, and it's a huge learning curve. Especially if this is your first. You're trying to learn newborn positioning and your baby's trying to learn. If this is your second or third or fourth and you really want to breastfeed, you kind of might know what to do now. However, now you have a baby that's brand new, that's into the world and is a little confused and uncoordinated. Okay, so it's okay. You would rather do 5 to 10 latches and popping off and latches to make sure you have a really good, strong latch that's efficient, that's going to be pulling colostrum, pulling breast milk, and it's not painful. So then they can most effectively nurse and breastfeed. And that's really going to help your milk supply and establishing your milk supply as they have a good latch and you know they're transferring colostrum. Okay, so you definitely want to do that multiple attempts. I would rather relatch. If they're having problems with coordination, a little trick that you can do is suck training. Okay, this is something super easy that you or dad or support person can do while you're up getting to the bathroom or baby's ready to feed. Check the diaper, lightly, gently burp them, do that, and then basically what you want to do is wash your hands, take a gloved finger, and then if this is the roof of their mouth, you want to put your finger in this way and gently tickle, and make sure they have a seal around your finger. You want them to have a seal around your finger and be doing the suck, swallow, breathing pattern on your finger. And then when they transfer onto the breast, hopefully they can keep that pattern, keep that motion. I do see some babies, especially if they have a long, difficult labor, or they're little, babies are called asynclitic, which they're like kind of sideways, like on their head coming down, and they just get kind of knocked off kilter, I guess you would say. So suck training is really great. I would do it for about 2 to 3 minutes. Just have them make sure they have that seal around your finger. Some babies get a little confused. Some have a really hyperactive gag reflex and they might have issues at first. Just keep at it and keep doing that training with them a couple times before you're feeding, so you can really help them to learn that pattern. Because I have some babies that like suck on their tongue. They have their tongue way up. You need to make sure their tongue is down. So that's another thing when you're going to latch your baby, is you want to make sure the tongue is down. All right, if the tongue is up, that baby is, you're going, guess where your breast and nipple are going? Underneath the tongue. That's not gonna go well. So make sure that baby's tongue down. Wait for that nice wide mouth, okay? You need an active, alert, awake baby to have a wide mouth. There is no way that you are going to get a baby latched if they're sleepy and their arms are like noodle and they're sound asleep. Okay, so you really need to make sure they're awake and alert and they have a wide mouth, and then get them on there, okay? You want to get them up and over the nipple, all right? And also bring your baby to the breast. Bring to the breast. All right, what does that mean? So that means that you don't want to be going like this to your baby. You don't want to be trying to get the boob in their mouth, okay? You want to bring them to you and then up and over. So football is my absolute favorite. I also like laid back nursing and reverse cradle. Those are my top 3. But say, I always do an example in football because it's easy for you to see. If baby's kind of like this, you want their chin deep into the breast like we said, and then the top of their mouth kind of going up and over the nipple. That way they can get as much of that under breast tissue in their mouth. So if you picture it like this is your nipple, this is your breast, and this is their mouth. You want to kind of get in so they can get the majority of this under breast tissue. That way they are going to pull more colostrum, more breast milk, and be more efficient with their feeds. And this is especially newborns. They need a lot of breast tissue in their mouth, okay? It's not breastfeeding. It's not nipple feeding. Not nipple feeding, it's breastfeeding, all right? Not nipple feeding, it's breastfeeding, okay? So the point of the nipple is really to elicit that, the roof of the mouth, and tickle the roof of the mouth and elicit that suck reflex. So yes, nipples can be beneficial, but I've also seen them not be beneficial. I've seen such large, wide nipples or such long nipples that the babies constantly gag, or they can't even get around because their mouths are small. And those can be tricky too because they're small, so they're gonna grow and they'll be able to do it, but in the beginning they can barely get onto the nipple or not gag, that they have a hard time breastfeeding. So both, and then inverted nipples, don't worry. Inverted or flat nipples, in the end, it's breastfeeding, not nipple feeding. As long as you can sandwich and get enough breast in the baby's mouth, then you're good. And again, some babies are a little tricky to kind of get on the breast without a nipple or a nipple shield. and we'll kind of go over that a little bit more as well. But definitely don't fear them getting deep on the breast, because that's what you want. Chin deep into the breast. Number 8, you want to make sure they have a straight neck or kind of tilted back. Or tilted back. Running out of room. Okay, so okay, if we're gonna take a sip of water, okay, I don't want to sip it like this. It's pretty hard. And even then with a straw, it's a lot easier. But what you want is a straight neck. How we drink, or a little tilted back. So you know when we chug water, we usually tilt back a bottle and we tilt back our neck a little bit. Same thing with babies. You don't want a baby breastfeeding and trying to latch like this and trying to drink. You want a nice straight neck or kind of tilted back. That way they have good posture and neck composure for latching. Also, the thing is straight neck / spine. You can put / spine. I also see this too when people are trying to cradle and nurse their baby, is their baby is sideways. They're like latched, but then their body's twisted like this. So they're attached to mom breastfeeding and their body is faced out like this. You don't want to do that. That is not good posture for spine. I mean, it would be super uncomfortable for us to eat a sandwich like this too. So just think, would you eat like that? You know, it's not very comfortable. So always remember kind of belly to belly and have them there with you breastfeeding, and then make sure that spine is straight and it's gently tilted back. Okay. Let's see. Let's put number. I'm kind of running out of room, but that's okay. Limit / no pacifiers. This is a personal preference that I kind of have mixed feelings on, because all 3 of my kids absolutely refuse pacifiers. Like, I was literally, for my daughter, trying to hold it into her mouth, and I was like, she still wouldn't take it. But I would definitely say for first time moms, or if you really struggled with breastfeeding last time, definitely stay away from pacifiers, at least for the first week or 2 until you get breastfeeding established and get a good rhythm. And then if you really want to use a pacifier, make sure you're cluster feeding and feeding your baby on both sides. Make sure there's no tongue or lip tie issues. Really make sure your baby is satisfied, burped, diaper changed. Make sure they are completely fed before you offer them the pacifier. There's too many times in the hospital where I constantly see people trying to give their babies a pacifier when they're in the cluster feeding phase. I should have actually been on the cluster feeding phase video, but and those poor babies are just like screaming, crying, and they're like, the parents are just like, don't want to feed them again. I'm like, but that's what they're showing you. So that's what you got to be careful of, because you can miss early feeding cues really quickly and really easily when you're using pacifiers. Okay, deep into the breast. So let's kind of go through things again. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's one more thing I'm missing. Deep in the breast, lips flange out like a fish, multiple attempts, suck training, tongue down, wide mouth, wide open mouth, up and over the nipple, bring the baby to the breast, stop nipple feeding, it's breastfeeding, straight neck, tilted back. Oh, this can help. Hand expressing, drops of colostrum. If you have a very sleepy baby or a baby that likes instant gratification, do a little hand expression first. This is really helpful, especially in the first 24 hours as well, is do a little hand expression just to get like 1 or 2 drops right on the nipple, because that milk is coming from like an inch or 2 back from the breast ducts, and then it has to go through these tubercles all the way towards the front of the nipple. So that can take a while. So you just want to make sure, if you have a very sleepy baby that's like not really into it, if you get some of those drops right there on the breast, as soon as they get on, they're going to taste that, and they're gonna be more active in nursing at the breast. All right, kind of 11, I just thought of this and it went out of my head, is good chin movement. Chin movement. Okay, if a baby is deep on the breast and really deep and has a good suck, you want to see this huge chin movement of the jaw going all the way up to the ear. You'll see it. If you see these little like mouth movements and everything, that's not effective nursing. That's kind of little like comfort nursing, like I'm sucking a little bit, but I'm not very active. So if you have an early baby, a pretermer, late pretermer, and you notice that they're latched, but they're doing like these little like lip sucks, that's not effective nursing. I would definitely have you do triple feeding after with that baby, because you want to make sure you're doing some extra things for your baby. Okay, what else can I think of? I think that's really it with your latch. Is definitely making sure you don't have, you know, those flanged lips. Baby's nice and deep. There should be no pain. Oh yeah. All right, no pain. Okay, no pain. You should not have like toe curling pain, okay? If your baby is latched properly, your baby should be, the pain should go away within like 30 seconds to a minute. If it doesn't, pop them off, stick your finger right in the corner of their mouth, break that seal, and relatch them again, relatch them again. You'd rather go through multiple latches to make sure you don't have any pain. If you have a bad latch just once and that baby nurses for 20-30 minutes, you can do severe nipple damage, and your nipples and breasts will be sore for the next coming days just from one breastfeeding session. So just be very mindful of that. If the pain, if you've tried all the things, super deep latch, this is what I went through with my first son, super deep latch, all the things, and you're still noticing tons of pain, definitely check for a lip and tongue tie again. If everything's looking great from the outside, I've had that situations multiple times where I'm like, oh my gosh, this baby's a beautiful breastfeeder. It looks phenomenal. I'm seeing good chin movement, good positioning, everything. You usually don't hear swallows with colostrum because it's such small amounts, so it's really hard to hear swallows. And then I've had it where these babies have severe tongue ties, and even though they looked perfect from the outside, on the inside their anatomy was not great, and they had a really tight tongue tie that was holding their tongue down. And I'm going to do a separate video about that with tongue and lip ties. So definitely shouldn't have any pain. It should go away within 30 seconds to a minute. Okay, let me just write that, 30 seconds. 30 seconds to 1 minute. Okay, feedings, both breasts. If you're feeding and latching, try to latch on both breasts if possible, especially in the first coming days. You just want to try and do both breasts per feeding so they can get as much. It will help your milk come in quicker, and it will help your baby lose less weight, be less jaundiced. So do try and do both breasts. Don't limit them though. Don't be like, oh, 10 minutes and 10 minutes, 20 minutes and 20 minutes. No, they want to go 45 minutes on one side. They're going to get that very fatty hind milk in the back, and it's going to move all the way forward. That's perfect. But then if they only want to feed like 5 to 10 minutes on the other side, great. They still stimulated and took out from both sides. Okay, and then they can start on the next side after. Okay, so those are a couple things with latch. Clicking. Oh, clicking is a good one too. Ah, my hands are clicking. All right, this is another one that my last one had, my daughter had. Clicking. I thought that clicking was always a bad thing. Okay, here's what I learned is that she had a a lip tie. So she had those little like lip blisters because she was trying to hold on with her lips more than her mouth. And she was having clicking, and it was really bothering me because I was worried. But here's the thing, she was gaining weight actively. She was emptying the breast. They didn't feel heavy after. They felt more empty. She was peeing and pooping constantly. She was gaining weight. She was back to birth weight in like 4 or 5 days. And she was doing fantastic. So I did end up going to see a lactation consultant because I was worried, and we weighed her before and after, and she was taking a full 4 ounces from the breast. So she was completely fine. She was like 2 weeks old by then. And come to find out, she just grew out of it. She just grew out of it. So clicking is not always a bad thing. Just, you know, chat with me, chat with girls in the group. Usually it's just kind of a thing that you just kind of watch out for. Okay, I think that's a lot of things. So deep in the breast, lips flange out like a fish, multiple attempts, suck training you can do anytime that you want. If you want to do suck training instead of using a pacifier, that's a fantastic thing to do. Make sure that tongue is down, very wide mouth, up and over the nipple. Bring your baby to the breast. Oh, I remembered. I'm trying to like think of all these extra things. Asymmetrical latch. This is probably a very important thing. Sorry, I'm running out of room. Asymmetrical latch. You want to make sure your baby, we don't want you to go, if this is your breast, and this is the baby, you don't want the nipple going straight back into the roof of the mouth anymore. We found that if you do an asymmetrical latch, which means you're taking your nipple and you're kind of pointing it up toward the roof of the mouth, they're going to get more of this under breast tissue, and they're going to be able to pull more effectively, and they're also going to do less nipple damage. Okay, so an asymmetrical latch. One of my favorite, I'm going to use my breast model here. One of my favorite positions with a baby is with football holds, called the flipple technique. And basically you're pulling your nipple back like this, latch baby, and then as they get up and over, you flip the nipple into their mouth. So then it kind of ends up at the roof of the mouth. So it's called the flipple technique. I will link the YouTube video down below because it is phenomenal. I can't mimic it because I don't have a newborn anymore. But literally, I think I watched this video like 50 times trying to master it with my first son, and it literally is probably one of the best things ever. It's called the flipple technique. So deepen the breast and then pull your nipple back and then just kind of slide it in. If you have inverted nipples, that's okay too. Basically, that whole areola, you want them to get as much breast tissue in, and you want to try and flip that nipple towards the roof of the mouth. If you have a very strong baby and like full-term infant and they're breastfeeding effectively and you have inverted nipples, they will pull those inverted nipples out. I know it sounds kind of crazy. They might, just a heads up, they might bleed or anything too, because what happens is you have adhesions underneath the nipple that's holding, it's like tethering that skin down in the middle. And your baby, if they have a strong suck and they're nursing continuously, they will break that apart possibly, and they can become everted. Doesn't happen with everybody, but I have seen it at one time. Okay, so definitely asymmetrical latch. So I kind of went all over the place. Make sure up and over the nipple. It's not nipple feeding, it's breastfeeding. Straight neck and tilted back spine. Limited to no pacifiers. Drops of colostrum on your nipple to really get your baby to breastfeed. Good chin movement, good deep chin movement. No pain, should go away within 30 seconds to a minute. Try and breastfeed on both breasts. Clicking is not always a bad thing, so just check asymmetrical latch, okay? So that is it on that video. I'm gonna do nipple shields actually on a different video because I do wanna talk about them. I think they are a fantastic tool, and some people might have some really strong limiting beliefs behind nipple shields, and I'm gonna explain why they can be so beneficial. So stay tuned and check out that video as well.